Hey YouTube, bit of a mic test thing going on here. I think that condenser mic's just gone. Really noisy, and now if I just use a dynamic mic, I think that should be alright. It's actually pretty easy because it's easier if I can just be closer to it. Be good for when I'm a rock star and I get used to talking into an actual mic rather than having like a... Anyway, yes, so this is the Yamaha THR. We get down without knocking everything over. It's just annoying. Yeah, so I couldn't really work out how to demo this because there's quite a lot of things. I don't have enough camera extensions to actually be able to see what it is I'm doing, so I'm just going to mess about with it. Yeah, so over here there's presets. I'll not be setting up them. They're always there. The amp, sort of the modelling section, so you've got clean, crunch, lead, British hi-fi, British high, modern, and then on the other side you've got bass, acoustic and flat. Bass, I guess I've got a bass amp in it. Gain, master, bass, middle, treble, and you've got two effect styles, kind of like, so this effect style's got chorus, flanger, phaser and tremolo. This one's got delay, reverb, spring and hall, and then you've got an overall volume for the guitar amp, and then another overall volume for whatever backing tracky thing you plug in to auxiliary. It's got lights in it, makes it kind of look like it's got valves in it. Oh, I can actually just see there, I can see where the speakers are at one of the angles there, so I know I'll put the mic in front of the speaker. But there's two speakers in here. Alright, there, and then what looks like subwoofer port type things in the middle. These aren't well advertised as being battery powered, but they do actually run in batteries as well as a power supply, which I thought was pretty damn cool. We're on. We'll probably go for a clean sound first. I'm not really sure how to do these miking things up because I kind of want, I would want to know what that sounded like. In fact, I'll turn it off, right? So now you're not hearing it coming through that mic. You're just going to hear it through this mic and the mic that's up there. So if I go for a clean. A bit of reverb on it, maybe. Right, so that's what it says. I'm now going to put it back into the desk so you can hear it louder. I think that was probably quite a bit louder. But already see going from the sound I started off with that sort of distortion-y thing. Also that this does other things. Again, I'm using this as a practice amp for sitting in the house. In this demo, I know you can program it and stuff. Same with that wee pedal I did the other day, the wee cube thing. I think you can download different types of reverb and all crazy sort of stuff by plugging it into USB. Not that I did that. There's an element of this. So this, I think, is the oldest version of this, the cheapest one that you can get now. Kind of the first one. I think it's... I don't even know how many watts it is. I'm not even sure, so I don't really want to pick it up. I'll have a look at the end, see if I can get exactly what number it is. But it's one of those things, kind of like the Roland Cube. Well, this is a Cube Micro. Oh, that's right. I took off the sticker that said Micro on it because it was a bit scabby. It looks better without it. And it's a kind of, it's the boring choice, isn't it? I was aware of that was the Yamaha amp. They were quite expensive considering they were quite small, and everyone loved them. Didn't really know what it was. I wasn't sure. I didn't know it had speakers in it for a start. That's how much I'd looked into them. And I didn't know it was battery powered. But that sounds huge, and that's just coming through that wee speaker, and it sounds amazing for the cleans. And it's the same kind of thing I've got with that wee the wee microcube. It's like for a clean sound amp. It doesn't just sound like, oh, that's pretty good considering it's a wee practice amp. That's good enough for me just competing with all these other amps. It's a good amp. Doesn't sound like it's wee speakers at all. But where the cube falls down, which this one seems to do a little bit as well, is the distortion-y things. That might be a thing that I'm being a bit of a tube snob. I'm kind of used to valvey. There's the things Valves does with distortion, which obviously modular things can't do. But no, in saying that, the wee Black Star Fly, it can handle it. It's got a decent overdrive sound. So I need to try and find a decent overdrive sound in this. So that's why I've not done a video on this, because I'm trying to work out some way of putting it. I might leave it, I'll just have a wee fidget. I might do a proper video with it once I've sat down, and I'll put a camera on it so you can see what I'm actually fidgeting with. Well, it's just an EQ and gain. So that's it on clean. So I'll try crunch. Is that very loud? No, it should be alright. I'm going to turn that down a wee bit. I'm thinking that looks a little bit too... a little bit loud. I did actually notice that when you're cycling through these things, the more gainier amps are much louder than... You have to, as you go up through the amps, you have to turn the master volume down to keep it the same volume. But I think more my point is there. It's it really does that thing that the Black Star ID core does, where you get the two speakers that kind of do that fake surround sound thing, where it actually sounds like it's coming from, maybe that speaker or something. It doesn't sound like it's coming from that wee thing on top. But I mean, we're doing alright there. Turn the reverb off. Turn it down. Just turn it off. That's not a bad sound. I think maybe just because it's so low down, it's only the second one in. I'm thinking, I know I want more rock, more metal than that, but it does have a wee bit of that. Maybe that's just the reverb. Let's put that back on again. I don't like the way it's going to delay first, because I want the smallest amount of reverb. Delay reverb. That should just be spring there. Yeah. There's a slight edge of it starting to sound a little bit like a wee 10-watt practice watt with distortion on. Is it boxy, the word they use? When you're driving it. See, it's not doing it there with the more single coily sounds with two singles on. When you put on a super distortion. What's the next one up? I'm going to turn the master down a bit for this one. This is lead. Oh, that reverb's too much. That's as low as I can get the reverb. It's one of those reverbs that's got like what you want it is not, here at like 1, less than 1 out of the 10 of what it does. Just a wee bit. I think it might actually be sounding a bit better, just that the idea sounds like a really basic concept, but the speakers are there, my ears are here. That's quite a nice coming out and going into my ear thing, rather than it being in the corner pointing over there or something like that. These things do make a difference, the same as that I'm probably be aware of when I check this back, how much the louder my voice gets when I get closer to the mic, and how you probably can't hear me when I'm here. Although I do have the boundary mic to pick that up, so hopefully... But I mean, I'm not even looking at this from the point of view of a battery-powered amp. Battery-powered, I mean, it's like... It goes loud as hell. You can almost play to a crowd with it. But again, there is an element of, if the ultimate practicey, ampy, busky, takey, campy type amp should not be an expensive thing. I mean, I'm saying expensive. I think it was 120, something like that, you know, over 100 quid anyway. So for me, the ultimate super cheap go campy should really only be ideally like about 25 quid. So you're maybe just on the edge of the cube, but the cube's a little bit more, just looking at it, you're not comparing like for like, this isn't a £100 cube, that's a £100 amp, but it's so much more droppable and looks like it would sit in a puddle better. It's kind of got that. I mean, it's relatively sturdy. It's just a bit square, doesn't have the big plastic bits around the outside and stuff like that. So this guitar's amazing, and that wee amp is enough to show that. I think that's why I'm using it rather than just using like a Squire or something. I think these have a lot of computery in and outiness that goes with them as well. Actually, I should have dug out my Yamaha RGX A2. It's kind of from the same design lab. It looks kind of like that. I think it's a bit... Is it sort of cream? I don't know. It's a fantastic looking wee thing though. I mean, that's the total thing that you can have. Kind of looks like an old radio or something like that, but you know, especially even when I'm using the wireless thing, so it's kind of classy. Get away with that in a sort of classy living room, not a room with guitars all over the walls. You're just like, just sit there and sit there. No, it's not like having, you know, like wheeling in something like that into the living room when you want to play in front of the telly. But I mean, it's easily passing the having an acoustic jam test. It's definitely loud enough to blow away any acoustic player, you know, so you can play lead guitar over it. That was kind of my thinking about when these things become useful. Even the Black Star Fly does it. It can do it. It can be, and even the wee Marshall MS2, it's loud enough to play over somebody who's playing an acoustic too loud. Is basically what I'm going for. Is aiming for is what an electric guitar or a bass portable amp should be able to do. So it's actually doing really well just now. I just don't think it does more distortion from memory. British high gain, so we're saying Marshall. It does actually kind of sound like a Marshall, and it's like, I think if you're the same age as me, similar experiences to me, your memories of Marshalls was always like your Valve State, the 12 watt, the 30 watt, those Marshall amps where it does it's got that sound. Judas Priesty. Then I hear a JCM 800 coming from the Marshall Valve State because they're both kind of the same thing. No, I totally take back all I was saying before. What I've been thinking the last couple of weeks with that amp, as in not having a good distortion sound. Totally happy with that. I'd be totally happy with that. If that's what I heard and it was going into, mix the desk whatever at a gig, and that was the sound that was coming out of what I was hearing on stage, that's I can tell it doesn't quite have that wee thing that a valve amp does though. It's got a little bit. It's a bit. It sounds produced. Let's be trying. There's only one more. There's only modern to go. It just sounds like you got a big pillow on it, but that's what it's meant to sound like. It's alright. I quite like the Marshall one's not bad though. I mean, and there's also much newer versions in this. There is a bass option, so I need to see what it sounds like with a bass. Because normally you're kind of like, I don't know if I want to. You don't want to damage any of these wee amps trying to play a bass. So I just wonder if it's something that's acceptable. Because I found the wee Roland Bass Cube amp is just a great proper bass amp. They're awful expensive though, and if you go to something like, see the wee Black Star Fly there, it's totally on its own. It's totally loud enough for sitting on your own watching the telly. It's not loud enough for somebody who's playing too loud an acoustic next to you. With the extension cabinet, it just is. So I don't know, is this going to be better or not? So here we go. This is bass mode. So I immediately got to turn the volume up a lot. Can't have reverb on the bass. My God, what are we thinking? Yes, it's good enough to sit and play your bass and have fun, sit and watching there. When you're sitting watching telly or whatever, it's not enough. It's not like the wee Roland Cube bass amp, which is a proper bass amp that you could very nearly, if not very actually, play along with a drummer with. You know what I mean? That's if somebody's gently, plucking away on an acoustic, doing finger picking, and they're a considerate player, not battering it as loud as they can, you could get a good bass sound and play along with that. When it comes along to the drunk folk singing whatever it is, battering acoustics, yeah, I just see myself, I've been in that situation too many times when you're sitting in, you're trying to make as much noise as you can so you get the treble up at full. It sounds terrible. I think you'd be in that category with that. But I mean, obviously. But if you're talking about having it, something you can bring through your living room, it's amazing. Especially even the one, I think the more modern ones have Not that it's that much hassle to buy one of these Legato things for 20 quid with these two, but I think the more modern one's got one built in, and I think you stick the guitar receiver bit in it and it charges up, things like that. But the actual concept is very good. Yes, no, I'm very impressed. I don't know what it was. It was different when I was trying to get the good distortion sounds out. I asked about with it last week, and it wasn't really working. Maybe because it's higher up. No, I like it, and it's like with a lot of these things, kind of like, it's pure boring getting a rolling cube and a Yamaha Pacifica, which would be that's a boring thing to buy. But I mean, it's an amazing setup. I'm now going to have a shot of the rolling cube and see if I can get a decent distortion sound out of that. I'm wondering if it's because I'm using the Kraken, which is like the best guitar in the world, that's why it sounded so good. But I mean, it's able to replicate that. I'm thinking if you're playing through one of the wee Marshall MS2s, it doesn't really make much difference whether you're playing with an Epiphone or a Gibson. Whereas I think with that, you're going to notice. Rock on!